An evening with Acun has been announced and sold out. Hull City are looking to make the return of all the loan players, so where will they fit into this new look City squad? We'll dive into more details on that. And the final player of the month for Hull City has been announced. Well, hello there and welcome back to the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel, where it's another day without the Tim Walter announcement, but I have my speculations on when we will hear about that, and it may be sooner rather than later. We'll crack into that towards the end of the video with the Acun evening with Acun Ilıcalı at the MKM Stadium for members, which sold out shortly after it was announced yesterday. So first crack on into Hull City's Player of the Month. It has been announced, and with a staggering 42% of the votes, it's Abdushamir who grabs a Player of the Month award for April. So a fantastic month for Omar, and getting 42% of the votes, it's clearly stating that he is an underlining favourite at the squad, especially considering what he's done in the short time that he's been at the club. Excited to see what he can do next season, especially under this new manager, whether he does get that number 10 role, he can play inside. Of course, we know he can play on the wing. It'll be very exciting to see what he can do, especially under the sort of attacking style that Tim Walters provides. We're going to say it's Tim Walters. It's most likely going to be Tim Walters is the new Hull City manager. Before we crack on into some of the diving into the loan players that I was talking about in yesterday's video, just a happy birthday to the Vice Chairman, Tan Kesler. It's Tan Kesler's birthday today. Hope you have a lovely day. I know you're not watching the video, but if you are, happy birthday. So, loan players. We'll dive into a bit more detail. I said in yesterday's video, it's sounding like majority, if not all, barring Uriel Selly, will be returning back to the club for this pre-season to get a full fair chance under the new manager, and then developments from there onwards to see what happens with contracts, whether they go back out on loan, whether they would stay, developing what happens really. So we're going to go through all of sort of the first team loan players. There is 12 of them to go through. 11, we'll discount Uriel Selly as he most likely won't return certainly not until his loans up at Universitario, as he needs them international points so he can get his visa. It does sound like more and more, as each sort of month goes by, that we will not see Selly in a Hull City shirt. But que sera, whatever will be. Hull City might be going to Wembley next year if things do pan out. So start off with the goalkeepers. Timothy Lotutali's had a fantastic season over at Doncaster. I'll be covering all of the loan players and what they've done at their respective clubs in a video either later on this week or next week. But Timothy Lotutali's had a fantastic loan period over at Doncaster Rovers. Has really helped them propel into that playoff race, and unfortunate not to get through the semi-finals of that playoff. Really a fantastic season, especially under former Hull City manager Grant McCann, who's really turned things around at Doncaster last season, and excited to see what he can do next season. Of course, it's Grant McCann. Let's be a bit shaky, but he has been doing some good things over at Doncaster, and hopefully the likes of Timothy Lotutali can thrive either at Hull City or back out on loan. I think that for Lotutali at this current point, obviously we do have Ivo Panda in. We have Ryan also beg to differ. It sounds like Matt Ingram will be shown the door at the end of the season, just considering the lack of playing time they had last season. Of course, it's up to speculation with the new manager. We have no real certainty at the time, but it does sound like that will be the case. So I do think that Lotutali will be sent back out on loan to develop it even more, and then the likes of Harvey Cartwright to be brought back and have him as the third choice keeper, either him or Dave Robson, depending on what you want to do. I think obviously Cartwright has had a fantastic season again at Grimsby. We covered a little bit of it in yesterday's video, grabbing 6 clean sheets, 3 Young Player of the Year awards at Grimsby Town. So he's had a fantastic loan spell over there. So it's a bit of a toss and turn one between him and Dave Robson, as it kind of always has been with them two young keepers. It's whether you want to have Cartwright sitting as the third choice keeper at City, which I think will maybe harm him a little bit. So maybe going out on loan again will probably be a bit more beneficial, and going to maybe a side in a bit in League One, a bit like what he was doing at Peterborough, but actually giving him the game time. So it would be interesting to see where that development goes. But I do think both of them will either go out on loan or one of them will stay and have that third choice keeper, depending, of course, on what happens. We never know if Ivo Panda will be the number one keeper next season. We don't know if Ryan Alsop will be the number one keeper. We don't know if Matt Ingram will be the number one goalkeeper. We don't know who's staying, who's going. It's a very shaky time at the moment, to say the least. Andy Smith, he has had a bit of a shaky one over at Cheltenham Town this season, out on loan. Of course, he had a fantastic season last season out on loan at Grimsby. A little bit of a shaky one at Cheltenham Town. So it's depending on whether City are looking to keep him. Of course, I think this feeds more into the fact whether Hull City managed to keep Jacob Greaves. Of course, the statement has been so far, we're keeping him unless he wants to leave. Of course, there has been some interest from Everton over in the Premier League for quite a healthy bid. So will depends on that one. I think that will be an ongoing situation throughout the summer. So I don't think Andy Smith will be confirmed to go out on loan until maybe towards the back end of the transfer window. But I do think it'll be either a loan out for him if Jacob Greaves stays, or he'll stay in the club and have a bit more of a bench role, a bit similar to Sean McLaughlin this past season, if Jacob Greaves does leave. Dukan Sinek, he seems to be getting a bit more of a fairer shot under the new manager. I think that if things don't work out for him in pre-season, it will be the time for Hull City to move on from Dukan Sinek. He hasn't had the best of fortune, has he? He gets injured from waking up in the morning. He's had 2 loan outs to Turkey, one at the club that we bought him from, and then recently at Hatayspor, where he has just recently played this past weekend, the first half, grabbing no goals, no assists. So yeah, I do think if things don't work out this pre-season under the new manager, which I hope things do, because I think that he will thrive under Tim Walter's managerial tactics, especially with that 4-3-3 attacking style. I think he'll thrive, but if it doesn't work out, I can see him moving on. Harry Vaughan has had a little bit of unfortunate time over at Bristol Rovers, not got the overly large amount of game time that he needs. So I do think that it will be another loan out for him, unless things just snap and click for him during pre-season. I think that he needs the game time, especially he was looking to get things going in that first season for City, and then obviously going out on loan last season after not having too much game time in the first half. Yeah, he needs that game time just to work out them final things for himself. Xavier Simons, I think that he may stay within the squad. Of course, we don't have Tyler Morton unless we bring him back on loan, so it does leave us a little bit short in that CDM partnership there. Seri sounds like he's staying. Of course, we don't definitely know this. And then it's looking at what else is to happen. Greg Doherty was sounding at the end of the season like he might be on his way out, especially with that sort of the final few games. So it'll be depending on some various factors, but I think a little bit similar to the likes of Andy Smith, if there's that that sort of position in the starting 11 or within the team, not necessarily starting 11 but on the bench. I think Xavier Simons could come in and thrive. He has a little bit of an injury issue over at Fleetwood this last season, missing out quite a few games. So whether that feeds into the factor, not 100% sure, but yeah, it'd be an interesting one. Callum Jones over at Forest Green Rovers. It'll be a very interesting one. Once again, I think all of these will be. I think that he is more certain to go back out on loan or to be sold somewhere. Depends if the interest comes in for him. But I think that's a little bit more sailed on. I don't think that he will probably get a full-on look in to the squad. I think there's more suited players to his position at the current time. Ryan Woods, we've announced this in a video, I think either yesterday or just before the weekend. He's getting interest from Mansfield Town for a permanent signing. So it does seem like Hull City will be trying to offload Ryan Woods this summer, get him off the paying books on a permanent deal. Ryan Longman, obviously at Millwall. I think it'll be interesting to see him get a fair shot underneath Tim Walter. Of course, he has had a Ryan Longman season over at Millwall. I think he grabbed 2 goals, one of them on April Fool's Day. Of course, both of them bangers. I think he may have grabbed a few more, I'm not 100% sure on that one. But It'll be an interesting one to see what he can fit into this squad. I think that on the end of it, he will be a fantastic bench player for Tim Walter's side. I think that having that sort of aspect about his game that he has, where he can sort of get the goals from a very low XG, is something that maybe can have a little bit of a quality within this New Look City squad. It's whether the pre-season goes well for him. Pre-season does usually go well for Ryan Longman, we saw in the past few seasons, but we'll see whether that does come to fruition. Oscar Estupiñán, it seems nailed on that he is going to come back, get a fair shot, and I think that he will stay within this squad and maybe become one of the starting strikers, if not the bench option, depending if we do get Liam Delap, depending if we do get Noah Ohio on them permanent deals, which have been reported. So Oscar Estupiñán, it does sound like he will be recalled from Club Bahia, of course, because the Brazilian league runs a little bit different, so his loan is until December of this year, but I don't think he'll get recalled early. It's sounding like that for this pre-season, and then get a fair shot throughout pre-season. One final man, Jason Lakilo. If things don't work in pre-season, I think Hull City will offload him once again. Similar situation to Dukan Senik. Things have to work this pre-season, otherwise Hull City will most likely release him on a permanent. I think that he maybe does have a little bit more wiggle room than Cynic, because obviously he's not been here as long, so maybe another loan deal out somewhere can work out for him, but I think that things need to work for him and Cynic this pre-season in a definite capacity for them to really have their namesake in Hull City. So, one final thing. When is this Tim Walter announcement going to happen? Well, it's sounding like tomorrow, being Wednesday. Hull City announced yesterday that there will be a members-only evening with Chairman Acun Ilıcalı on Wednesday the 15th of May. Tickets came out and then sold out like an hour or 2 hours later. This will also be recorded on Tigers Plus, which makes me think that this may be something to do with the announcement of Tim Walter. Whether Tim Walter gets announced before this and then Acun is just introducing him to the fans, and we get a bit of questions about sort of what the future of the club looks like. But it does seem a very interesting one. I don't think Acun would come out to the fans, especially after the Liam Rosenior sacking. Of course, fans have come to terms with it now, and there's more sort of seeing his way. I know certainly I am. But I don't think he would come out to the fans unless he had some news about the manager, because you just know all the questions will be, where's this new manager? Is it Tim Walter? What's happening? I don't think that he would do this without sort of having the manager and the announcement ready. So it does seem like, of course, with the deal progressing over the weekend, it seems like maybe later on today, tomorrow before this, or even at the event, Tim Walter could be announced as the Hull City manager. So you do want to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I will keep you up to date on everything Hull City. Of course, with all the Tim Walter news, the whole summer, and everything that's going around at Hull City at the moment. It's a bit of an uninteresting time, but everything will work out in the end, and I'm sure Hull City will have a fantastic season. We are somehow 20-1 to win the championship next season, so get your bets in. Don't actually. It's probably not going to win. Probably not going to happen. We're not going to win the championship, but we will get promoted hopefully next season under Tim Walter. The German man is our man. So I will see you over at the next video. Hopefully we have Tim Walter as the Hull City manager. So up the Tigers. Go on.